Alan Slaughterzinski with the Brevard Sports Network. And in my promise to expand our horizons here on BSN, to go beyond youth and just local high school sports, we are sincerely going to try this year. We say this, and we always try. We want to get as much Florida Tech and Eastern Florida State college sports as we can. And right now, we are at the very beginning of both basketball seasons, and the Florida Tech men's basketball program is 1-0. They got a win last Friday night over Spring Hill College out of Alabama, 82-73. And if you don't know about my next guest, he's entering his 19th season, I believe, at Florida Tech. Well over 600 career wins. I believe over 230 just with the Florida Tech Panthers alone. This man's basketball journey has taken him coaching all over the world. Please help me welcome my good friends here in Brevard County, Mr. Billy Mims. Coach, how are you?
Hey, Alan, it's like Christmas come early for me.
Yeah.
Basketball season has started, right? So I'm always good once the season starts. We've got our first win under our belt, and we're preparing for 4 games next week around the Thanksgiving holiday. 4 games. We've got 2 at home Monday and Tuesday. Then we take a little short break to practice and enjoy some turkey and dressing. And then we're on the road Friday and Saturday. So 4 games over 6 days next week. Basketball season is hot and heavy right now, and that's like Christmas to me.
I watched Michigan last night on ESPN, Coach, and yeah, so I'm ready for college basketball. I made a commitment this year to watch more Major League Baseball, which I did, and I'm making a commitment this year to watch more college basketball and get to more Florida Tech games, of course. Coach, I do have a question for you. How come the Thanksgiving Classic isn't up here this year at the Clemente Center?
Well, that's kind of a long answer there, but I'll give you the short-winded version. Our administration now is cognizant of the support staff workers and wanted to say, we ran the Thanksgiving tournament at Florida Tech for many, many years every Thanksgiving. And now we're trying to be cognizant of the support staff and saying that, hey, every other year might be nice for you to have Thanksgiving off and go spend it with your family somewhere.
I like that.
So this year we've moved it down to West Palm Beach. Palm Beach Atlantic will host it this year. And next year, it'll be right back in Brevard County at Florida Tech. So it'll be an every other Thanksgiving event for us starting this season.
Okay, all right, fair enough there, Coach. You get a 9-point win against Spring Hill College last Friday night. And look, against Division I Stetson, Coach, you were right there with them there until the end there when I pulled away a little bit. But talk a little bit about your team and what you like about them so far at this early stage of the season.
Well, Alan, I think we have more depth than we've had in recent years. We have 9 returners from last year on our team. Although saying that, we lost our 3 big weapons, our 3 biggest guns. Seshawn Russell, who was a 4+ year starter for us, who averaged, almost 20 points a game for his entire career. And last year led the nation in assists.
Yeah.
Seshawn averaged over 7 assists a game. And when you're averaging 19.5 points and 7 assists a game, those are big shoes to fill. We also lost Sean Howe, who was the team's leading scorer last year. Probably the best 3-point shooter I've coached in my, almost 20 years now at Florida Tech. Sean was a tremendous shooter. Last year hit almost 100 threes during the season. And for most of the year was the Sunshine State Conference leading scorer. Ended up averaging about 21 points a game for us. So that's 40 points of offense, 7 assists a game. So those assists equal another 14 to 18 points a game. So you're looking at almost 2 guys that affected almost 60% of our scoring. We also lost Makai Noble, who averaged another 12 points a game for us and has always been a big-time rebounder in his career at Florida Tech. So graduation hurt us a little bit there, and those guys are finally gone. But it's a new crop of Panthers, and we brought in 7 new players. 6 of them are transfers. We have three Division I transfers. Two of them are grad transfers. One from South Carolina State, our new point guard, Rashawn Edwards, who was our leading scorer in our home opener. He has been at South Carolina State Division I for the last 4 years. David McCullough is a 6'6" ultra athletic wing player who is a Division I transfer from Morgan State University up in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep.
Your neck of the woods.
Yes, sir.
You know a little bit about that
A
area.
little bit, little bit.
And we also have a Division I transfer, Manos Dimu, who's a 6'3", 6'4" point guard from Greece, but last year as a freshman played at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. So we have three Division I transfer kids that I think are going to be a big help this year. And we also have some junior college transfers as well. So there's a lot of impact to our team. And, I think the big thing for us right now, Alan, is getting these kids. All these guys have never played in the system. They've never played together. They've never played for me. They've never played in the Sunshine State Conference. So it's just time right now, time to get these guys all on the same page, understanding the system. And as we tell them every day, they need to believe in the system, believe in the players around them, and ultimately believe in themselves. Once we have that belief across the board, I think we're going to have a pretty good basketball team.
Well, Coach, as you're developing these players into your system, it's always good to get a W like you got last Friday night. And these invitational tournaments and these holiday tournaments and things like this are always a good way before you get into conference play. Coach, you have 19 years, the winningest coach there ever. I would imagine if you looked across Brevard County, you got to be, be something interesting for me to look up. It would probably be one of the, if not one of the top winningest basketball coaches in the history of Brevard County basketball. Coach, 19 years, looking back over all of this, what's your thoughts on, this 19-year run for you here at Florida Tech?
Well, I think I've been blessed, Alan. I got an opportunity to raise my family in a wonderful community. I think you and I used to always talk about this place as paradise. And,
Yep.
And it is. We don't have crime is not very high in Brevard County. You're on the Space Coast, you can feel safe when you're walking around Brevard County, when you're going shopping, when you're going to school. We've got an excellent law enforcement division around here. And I think Sheriff Wayne Ivy's a very close friend of mine. And
yeah,
I think he's one of the finest law enforcement officers in the entire country. But because of that, this is a very safe place to live. It's a beautiful place to live. It's a cost-friendly place to live. Now, I know prices and home ownership and things are going up as they are all over the country. But still, Brevard County's just got sort of a unique, a really unique feel about it. It's small town America, even though it's growing rapidly. And it's a beautiful location right here, one of the most beautiful stretches of white sand beaches anywhere in the world, right here on the Space Coast, up and down Brevard County. I think Brevard is still the narrowest, longest county in Florida. But you know what? From the I-95 to the beaches, we pack a lot in Brevard County. So I feel blessed to have been able to raise my family here in this great location. I also feel blessed to have been able to work at a university like Florida Tech.
Yeah.
It is a world-renowned academic university. And wherever I go, I travel a lot in the summertime to Europe, and I do a lot of coaching clinics abroad. But wherever I go, I'm proud to be a global ambassador for a great school like Florida Tech. 65 years young this year. We're just celebrating our 65th year. And as you know, legend has it, we started around the same time as NASA. And one of the scientists who was working to build NASA into the great, beautiful Kennedy Space Center that it is, and all of the achievements, otherworldly achievements that have taken place there. One of those scientists one day was sitting on Cocoa Beach with a cold beer in his hand and his buddy sitting across the table. And he said, "You know what? I'd really like to start a university. It'd be great if we had a university right here on the Space Coast where we could train some of the world's finest scientists and engineers to work with us here and build a space center and realize the dreams of John F. Kennedy to be the first to step on the moon." And you know what? The guy across the table from me said, "Wow, that's a great idea." He slipped him 37 cents and said, "Here's your first donation." So
I love
you
it.
think, Alan, we started, Florida Tech has started 65 years ago on 37 cents in a dream, says two things to me. No gift is ever too small, and no dream is ever too big.
The thing, and we're here with Florida Tech men's head basketball coach, Billy Mims. Coach, the thing I love about you, and I've always said this, and I continue to say this. In fact, if you watch some of the things we do, every once in a blue moon during a broadcast or a post-game show or pre-game or whatever, I will say something and I will say, you know where I heard that? From head coach Billy Mims. And I can always count on learning. I didn't had no idea how Vieira was created until you taught me. I'm telling you, man, I love my conversations with you, Coach. For the first time in a long time, the defending Division II men's national basketball champion resides in the Sunshine State Conference. Your buddy Jim Crutchfield and Nova Southeastern took that title last year. What does that title do for the conference as a whole?
Well, we've always prided ourselves in the Sunshine State Conference as calling ourselves the Conference of Champions.
Yeah.
And that's not just in the sport of basketball. We've won 3 national championships in the sport of basketball, 2 by Florida Southern College over in Lakeland,
Yeah.
and now 1 from Nova Southeastern University. But the conference has produced over 100 national champions, I believe, in all different sports, from golf to tennis to baseball to soccer to rowing, you name it. We have produced champions across the board here in Florida in the Sunshine State Conference. So, yeah, we are the Conference of Champions. And last year, Nova proved that once again in basketball. And here's what's interesting about that. I'm glad you brought them up. They were 36-0 last year.
Yeah.
36-0. Undefeated national champions, Alan. And they led the nation in scoring. They averaged over 108 points a game. And in the national championship game, live on CBS Sports,
Watched it.
they set the record for the most points ever scored in a national championship game in NCAA history on any level. So it was a historic season, right?
Yeah.
But guess what?
What?
The last 2 times we played them, I took great pride that we were the best defensive team in the Sunshine State Conference last year. We held Nova on our court late in February to 79 points in the game. That's over 25 points below their season average. The lowest point output for them all season long. And in the semifinals of the Sunshine State Conference tournament that was hosted on their court down in Fort Lauderdale, we took them to overtime. So we are the only team in their 36-0 run last year that they could not beat in one of the games in regulation. They had to go an extra 5 minutes to beat us on their home floor at the end of the season. Now, I'm going to have to say one more thing, Alan, before we forget that subject. A lot of people listening to this show say, "Oh, but it's Division II." So let me clarify.
Yes.
And explain to our listeners what Nova did last year. They were 36-0, and we were the closest team to beating them on their floor all season long. In the preseason, Alan, they lost their only matchup of the entire year in an exhibition game in Coral Gables, Florida, against the University of Miami Hurricanes. who, if you remember, made it to the NCAA Division One Final Four.
Correct.
One of the top four teams in America on any level.
Yep.
So how does Nova and our league and Division Two compare to Division One? Nova took that Miami Hurricanes team on their floor in Coral Gables to a 106-98 game. They
The,
scored 98 points against a Division One Final Four team on their home floor. There's not a lot of difference between Division One and Division Two at the highest levels these days.
Certainly not. And you know what, Coach? I'll tell you what, that goes for a lot of sports as well. And one more interesting factoid about this, and I'm sure you know this. Last year was only the second time the highest scoring ever game in an NCAA D2 finals. It was only the second time that the winning team had scored over 100 points since 1957 in the championship game. The other interesting point is only three teams have ever scored over 100 points in a final. Two of them did it last year. The losing team scored 101 points in West Liberty. So what's that tell you?
That's pretty interesting stat, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Here with head coach Billy Mims. And coach, I know we're going to get an opportunity, and I'm going to make a concentrated effort to make sure that we do. Obviously, not a lot of basketball played for your team yet, so it's not a lot to talk about there. But I know the importance of putting butts in those seats at the Clemente Center to you and to your team. It's a fantastic experience to go down there and watch Florida Tech basketball. The floor is yours. Tell us why it's a great night of entertainment.
Well, honestly, it's a very high level of college basketball. You don't have to drive to Orlando, Gainesville, Tallahassee, or Miami to see great college basketball. You can see it right here on the Space Coast. As I said, I mean, our home opener, we beat a really good Spring Hill College out of Mobile, Alabama. And we beat them 82-73. But our new starting point guard, Rasan Edwards, hey, he's already been on college basketball courts at Duke, at Kentucky, at South Carolina, and had big games against big-time Division I competition. He's no stranger to pressure. And in the home opener at our place, he made 7 out of 14 threes. Now, people say, wow, he shot 14 threes. Yeah, he made 50% of them.
Right.
If you're going to shoot 50% behind the arc, you can take as many as you like from me. He had 26 points, a tremendous showing for, the newcomer in his first game as a Panther. Elias Mark probably should have been the Sunshine State Conference Defensive Player of the Week. He had 20 points in the game, had 9 rebounds, and he was 7 of 8 from the floor. Didn't miss but one shot in the game. 7 of 8 from the floor, 9 rebounds. He was 6 of 8 at the free throw line. Just an all-around night for Elias Mark. And Niall Harris, who's a fifth-year senior for us, majoring in aerospace engineering. He's our version of Dennis Rodman. Niall Harris is a walking double-double machine. Every game he plays, he is going to get rebounds and points and just make some incredible plays. We've got depth, we've got talent, but Alan, when you come out to the Clemente Center, every seat in the building is a great seat. There's not a bad seat in the house. You're close to the action. When the game is over, we don't do like a lot of Division I teams. We don't run off the court and head to our locker room and hide. Our guys will stay out on the floor, thank the fans, go up in the stands, take photos with the fans, sign autographs, talk about life with the fans. The fans are important to us, and we want to make it, as you said, a fantastic experience.
It is.
Our student body is the best in the SSC. Our home crowd, if you look at some of the pictures I posted on social media, our home opening crowd was fantastic. We had a couple of guys in suits sitting at a table in the stands with ESPN on the table and headphones on, acting like they were broadcasting for ESPN from our game. We had the crowd just doing great things. We got a pep band. We have a pep band that will remind you of the movie Hoosiers, or even better, Blue Chips, because the way the pep bands in Indiana perform at college basketball and at state tournament, state championship, high school basketball,
Uh-huh.
we have that kind of pep band atmosphere. And dancing team, we have a spirit squad with both cheerleaders and dancers that will surround the court and entertain the fans. So I'm telling you, if you want good college basketball, NCAA sports, come down to Florida Tech right here on the Space Coast. You know what, Alan? You're going to be surprised. You're going to enjoy it. And I promise your listeners out there, if they come out one time, they'll come back again and
Yep.
again.
But you're talking about Nile. Plus he's from a place you know pretty well too, isn't he? Coach likes some guys from overseas. Coach, can you update us? Listen, I wish I could snap my fingers so many days. I'm working, I'm sitting here in the studio, and I'm thinking, man, wish I could just snap my fingers and me, Billy, and Josh could be sitting at a table at Old School Pizza, just talking. I miss those days, Coach. I mean, it just seemed like simpler times, and so, can you give us an update on some of the all-time fan favorites, like the Sam Daniels of the world?
Well, it's nice you mentioned Sam Daniel. He was one of our finest players in Florida Tech history. Still our all-time leading three-point scorer, career-wise, and the most threes in a single season. He spent a few years playing overseas, but he's continually plied his trade. He played in the TBN, the basketball tournament, the TBT, sorry, where they award the winning team $1 million.
Yeah.
He's played for an Atlanta team in that tournament in a couple of years on television. We've seen him play and do well there. But a few weeks ago, just a couple of weeks ago, Alan, he was drafted in the NBA League draft this year by the College Park Skyhawks, which are the Atlanta Hawks affiliate in the NBA G League. So at the moment, Sam is plying his trade for the College Park Skyhawks, and I hope it's going to be a really good season for him in the G League. I'll mention another great fan favorite, Chris Carter.
Yes.
Transferred to us from Air Force Academy and played 3 beautiful seasons for us at Florida Tech. And Chris went on to play professional basketball overseas as well. Got his start playing in the Ukraine, which right now obviously is, under war conditions and has been for quite a while. But Chris actually started playing professionally in the Ukraine, in one of the largest cities in the Ukraine. Had a tremendous year there. Still has a lot of good friends there in Ukraine. And now Chris plays at the highest level of professional basketball, one of the highest levels in all of Europe. He plays in the German BBL, the top level of pro basketball in Germany, playing against teams like Alba Berlin, Bayern Munich, playing in front of 20,000 fans in NBA-style arenas in Germany. So really proud of Chris. He's been starting for his Rostock Wolves team in the German BBL, which is the Bundesliga, the basketball Bundesliga, the German BBL, and playing against teams that actually, frankly, are playing in Europe in the Euro League or in the Euro Cup competition. So Chris is playing at the highest level in Europe now that any Florida Tech player has ever played at. So great to have him. I mean, earlier this season, Mekhi Noble signed a contract to play with the Plymouth City Patriots. Sorry, used to be the Raiders. Now they're called the Plymouth City Patriots in the BBL in England. Seshawn Russell is playing in the second division, Germany. He now is being courted by a couple of other teams and maybe making a change of location to a better level of basketball for him. And we have our fingers crossed for him. So we have a lot of players. Antonis Pafanis.
Yeah.
Division I basketball is home country of Greece right now.
Our Greek freak.
Our own version, beloved Antonis Pafanis, the Ant-Man.
Yeah, man.
to Florida Tech. And you know what? Let's talk about somebody else for a minute, too.
Sure.
The tallest basketball player that ever played at Florida Tech,
Oh,
Paul Sturgis.
okay.
All 7'8" of him, right? I heard from Paul this morning, and he's back in his home country of England. And for the fans out there right now, he's doing a great job. He travels around the country at 7'8" with a size 23 shoe, larger than Shaquille O'Neal's. And he speaks to elementary schools around the country talking about anti bullying, talking about inclusion, and about it's okay to be different and to feel different. Trust me, Paul's been different at 7'8". Paul's been different his entire life. So what a great role model for young children in the schools over there right now. But you know how he's earning his living? He's an actor now. He signed a
Really?
contract and spends most of his year in New Zealand filming the new Lord of the Rings,
Wow.
called The Power of the Rings, which is a Disney program now. And I think it's on Disney Plus. And he's got a 3-year contract to complete that series as one of the giants in that Lord of the Rings world. And it's all being filmed down in New Zealand. So Paul's enjoying acting right now and doing a wonderful job with community service as a role model for kids who feel just a little different and to understand it's okay to be different.
Coach, one of my favorite guys of all time, and I'll take you back to that conference-winning championship. I loved Randy Eccles. How's Randy doing these days?
Randy's still living locally. He's over in Orlando, doing a wonderful job. He's a high up in the enterprise system, working for the company Enterprise Rent a Car. And
Wow.
you might see him a lot more often these days at the Orlando International Airport, because Randy is one of the candidates to be their head of their program at the Orlando Airport. So fingers
Wow.
crossed for Randy, but he's doing a really good job and working his way up the executive ladder for Enterprise Rental Car. And, that team was full of some great players on it. But Simon Cummings
Yeah.
is now he owns 2 companies and living up in Canada. He owns a sports bar up there that's his own and doing very well.
The guy out of Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, is in Canada?
He's up there. His father was living up there,
Okay.
from up there, I believe, and he decided to go back up there to run his businesses, and he's doing really, really well. He also has I believe it's a kitchen installation company where he sells and installs and services kitchens at restaurants all over the part of Canada that he's in. So Simon's doing really well. Derek Hellman has been doing really well as a golf course manager here in
Wow.
Florida. Edgar Zagalitis, you remember Edgar?
Edgar, yes, I do.
Edgar's led the Sunshine State Conference in rebounding and blocked shots his senior year, which was 2012 and our championship year. Edgar's now works. He started off.
Wasn't he from Latvia or someplace like that?
Well done, Alan. He was. He was
Yeah.
from Riga, Latvia.
Okay.
Well, he got married over here and stayed over here.
Good for him.
He now has a big time job with Amazon.
Wow. I tell you, Coach, I know obviously coaching college basketball, but success story after success story after success story here. Florida Tech is, athletics and particularly your basketball program. That's what it breeds, doesn't it? I mean, congratulations to you, Coach. You must be so proud of these men.
Oh, Alan, I'm in touch with them all, and I try to, obviously we're busy and we can't get to them all the time. Here's one last one for you.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my morning was made. We had practice yesterday. We won on Friday night. Then we had a practice on Sunday afternoon, and Monday was back to work, back to the office, back to classes, and a short practice and film session Monday afternoon. But on my way to work yesterday, I got a phone call. I looked at my phone, and the name came up, And again, it just brought back such great memories. Jordan Majors of
Oh,
Hopkinsville,
wow. Jordan.
Kentucky. And for the fans out there that don't know, Jordan is still the all time leading scorer in Florida Tech basketball history. The very last shot of his collegiate career in his fourth year as a senior at Florida Tech, he scored, I want to say, 35 points in that game on the road in Miami at Barry University. And the last shot he made, Alan, was the one that topped Justin Sedlock to become the Florida Tech all-time leading scorer for men's basketball. And talk about being proud of the players who played for me and graduated from Florida Tech. Jordan is now back home in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He's teaching at his old high school. He teaches Algebra 1,
Wow.
Hopkinsville High School. He's the assistant varsity boys coach, and he served already as the JV head coach and the freshman head coach. So Jordan is teaching and coaching the game he loved. He called me yesterday morning to touch base and wish us good luck for this season, and he wanted to reminisce about his time at Florida Tech. So I'm so proud of everyone who wore the crimson and gray and played for me with the Florida Tech Panthers.
One of my favorite guys. Loved interviewing him, and of course I used to like the 6'5", 215-pound forward out of the Motor City, Derek Murphy. I love Murph, man. I think of these guys. Trey Shannonville, of course, a local young man, went on to App State. We was kicking all over college football. Coach, you produced some really outstanding men. Congratulations on that front. Coach, as you look back, I mean, you've been doing this. I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand, Coach, that these 600 wins, this is what, your 43rd or 44th year coaching either college or professional basketball. Coach, how much longer you want to keep doing this?
Well, you got me a little older than I actually am.
Okay.
My 41st year.
41st. I'm sorry.
Might be a couple more there, Alan, okay?
All right.
41st year on the sidelines, my 19th at Florida Tech. And, basketball really keeps me young. The game has kept me young. It's kept me enthused and working with young people. It's great that, I'm a lucky person to be able to go to work every day on a college campus and work with young men anywhere from 18 to 24 years of age, 25 sometimes. Remember, after COVID, everybody got an extra year of eligibility. But, working with young men that actually come to us as older boys, and I get to watch them and help them develop into incredible young men. I get to try and teach them not just about basketball, but also give them some great advice about life. And Alan, I know winning games is important. We always talk about, I've won over 600 games.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the winningest men's basketball coach in Florida Tech history. And those wins are all special. But two things are more special than the wins. And that's my family, my basketball family, the people that I've had the opportunity to coach, to work with, great assistant coaches, great team managers, great trainers, sports medicine doctors, physiotherapists, the people that have been a part of my basketball family now for 41 years. That's the most special thing. And the second most special thing, Alan, is seeing people succeed in the biggest game of all, not a basketball game, but watching them succeed in the game of life.
Coach, I absolutely love talking with you, and I definitely want to talk a lot more basketball with you. And I promise you out there to my viewers watching this that you watch Coach Mims on these interviews or listen to him on Mark Moses' show. I swear to you, you will never, ever get off of there. You'll never be able to say you didn't learn something. I promise you. Coach, I certainly appreciate your time here today. Good luck this season. We're growing, so I'm actually beginning to have a little bit more time on my hands in the evenings sometimes as I turn some things over to the other guys. So I certainly hope that I can get down to the Clemente Center a lot more than I have in the last couple of years. And thank you for your time and your support and always being a great friend. And please tell your daughters. And I know Courtney's doing great. How's Josh doing?
Well, Josh is, recovering from surgery.
Right.
He had, sorry, not surgery. He opted not to have it. Recovering from a torn rotator cuff
Right.
shoulder injury, and he decided to focus on his education and finish up his degree. So he's finishing up his last couple of years of civil engineering, and I believe he'll truly be one of Florida's finest civil engineers in a couple of years. So
No
proud of
doubt.
what he's trying.
Courtney, of course, I look at Courtney and see everything that she's doing, and I still always think about her helping me out with the NCAA tournament in Orlando.
Well, now she's doing all things Razorbacks. She's working for a TV station in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I
Awesome.
saw her just a couple of weekends ago. Len and I went up to Gainesville because she was down for the Arkansas Florida game. And
Right.
you talk about mixed emotions there. She's a Gator grad. She was on the field in the swamp for like the first time since she left UF, and she's working for the opponent who ends up winning. The Razorbacks won their first ever football game in the swamp. They were 0-5 coming in there, and I think it took a little luck from a former Gator named Billy Mims for the Razorbacks to pull off the upset. On the sidelines with Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks 2 Saturdays ago in Gainesville.
Two Brevard County, former Brevard County people there. You had Courtney Mims and, of course, Raheem Sanders from Rockledge with 100 yards against Florida that day. Seems like there's a lot of teams getting those first wins against the Gators here in the Napier area. But that's a conversation for another time there, Coach. Coach, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. Please say hello to your beautiful wife, Lynn, and good luck this season.
And Alan, I do have to say one last thing. If you let me, because my other daughter, Callie,
Yeah, Callie.
I got to be proud of all of my children.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach.
She's in Alabama herself right now, in the state of Alabama. So my kids are Florida, Alabama, and Arkansas right now. But my daughter, Callie, is at the University of South Alabama, and she's in the only 2 years left to complete PhD. She will be, in a couple of years, Dr. Callie Mims, doing clinical psychology. Going to help a lot of people in her lifetime. And Lord knows right now, the world needs a lot of good psychology.
Yeah, you're not kidding about that, Coach. Might need one right here. Anyway, Coach.
Hey, Monday
Yeah.
night, 7:30, Clementi Center. Monday night, 7:30, our second home game on Johnson University. And Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, we take on the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras. So Monday and Tuesday night, early in the week, come down to Florida Tech, the Clementi Center, for some great NCAA, the best sporting entertainment value in Brevard County.
Love it. Head coach Billy Mims of the Florida Tech Panthers. For Coach Mims, I'm Alan Slaughterzinski for the Brevard Sports Network.